Hello, everyone. I'm Tom Carter. I've been a lawyer for going on 16 years. I have my own firm in Claremont, California, practicing California state law, some federal court law. Um, and I love it. I learned a lot. I feel bad for a lot of my business law clients for what they have to put up with. I try to keep them out of litigation, out of lawsuits, and fight the good fight. My practice is somewhat akin to a general counsel for businesses that don't need a full-time general counsel. Probably 35% of what I do is transactional work like contracts, creating businesses, bringing on investors, stuff like that. And then 65% of what I do is litigation, which is dispute resolution, lawsuits in court all day long. Those are obviously far, far more expensive than staying out of litigation and doing it right the first time. Sometimes you can't avoid litigation depending on the situation, but especially if you're in California, you should expect to be sued in the long term over something. But that's just kind of how it goes, right? You don't take it personal. What my channels is meant to do is to inform people, to discuss what I see, what people will deal with, what they may deal with, and how to try to stay out of legal trouble, how to only fight the fights you need to if you can avoid it, and hopefully avoid the accusation in the first place. What we're going to do, talk about today is business formation. We'll start with the basics. This might seem very easy to you and something kind of obvious, which is what form is your business going to take? You know, you want to make widgets or sell this service or that product. What exactly, how is that going to look like? Or is it going to be you personally? A sole proprietorship, meaning you're liable and responsible, your bank account, your home, your car, all your assets are on the chopping block. That could be fine. It's something that could be covered by proper insurance, assuming you could do that properly. But even if you want to maybe get a bank account or bank loan, oftentimes you will need, just by sort of facts on the ground, the banks will require it, or some of the other third party banks or creditors you might deal with may require an entity, but you may have a business entity. In California, most likely it's the corporation or the LLC. Corporations, you have C corps or S corps. It matters how you get taxed through those. Either you get taxed at the corporate level at that rate, or it gets passed through to the owners and they pay personal tax at a slightly different rate. There's benefits to both. You can make your election on that. Or you could do, if you're not a corporation, you can do an LLC. You can elect to be the default for an LLC, which is taxed like a C Corp, or you can make an election to do an S Corp taxation, and that will be effectuated and you'll be taxed at the S Corp rate. Talk to your CPA about that, because every business does need a good CPA. But you're going to want to think of the form. Why do people create business entities? It shields them from liability. The business goes down. The business has to pay that liability, or this kid who got hurt during a slip and fall. The entity has to pay, not you, the person. So the entity could declare bankruptcy, could have to pay a lot of money to somebody it owes. It could shut down, all sorts of things. But your bank account, your home, your land in Kern County, whatever, that stays safe and separate. Okay. These are questions you're going to want to ask out at the front. What will it mean in terms of how it's going to work for your CPA, your tax questions? How is it going to work just in terms of functionally? How does a corporation work versus an LLC? Think of it this way. Corporation, you have shareholders, shares of stock. You have the board of directors, and they choose the officers, okay? You have bylaws. Those are the governing rules of the corporate entity. On the other hand, you have an LLC, you have an operating agreement, and the owners are really the members, and you could have just members, which are kind of like silent partners, or managing members, which have more authority to do day-to-day stuff for the LLC and bind it and enter contracts and do certain things. That's really how they function. Shareholders, members. Okay, that's difference. Corporation shareholders, LLC members. Again, the main purpose, and it's not hard to follow the corporate formalities of either a corporation or an LLC, but you got to do it. You have to pay the annual fee to the Secretary of State. It's not hard to follow the corporate formalities. It really isn't. Most of it, the work is done up front, and then you have to follow up every year with like a form, send in a form, a statement of information, and that's really it. Unless there's major changes or you want to bring on investors or something like that. Very simple and easy to follow those corporate formalities, and it keeps you out of trouble. It keeps the business separate, and it makes it so that it's very difficult to pierce through that corporate veil and get to you, your assets, your money. These are, again, outset threshold questions that you should be asking yourself. What type of business should you have? Again, in a lot of circumstances, it's fine to be a sole prop. For a while, I was, as a lawyer, was a sole prop because I had insurance to the hilt. Like, we have to have, professional insurance and errors and omissions insurance and everything we pay for every month. We have to. I mean, well, you don't, as a lawyer, you don't necessarily have to, but if you have a practice like mine, you have to. And that covers me, right? So I didn't necessarily need an entity for quite a while. And then eventually I did have it, but there's different ways of skinning the cat. There's a lot of ways to getting to right, but you need to educate yourself to figure out what fits for you and makes you sleep well at night, reduces your risks, all those sorts of things. That's what you want to do. To keep in mind, we have a quiz. The quiz asks you pointed questions about your particular business, and it's meant to not just call you out on how unprepared you actually are, but to provoke thought and get you thinking about how you could protect your business even further. As the year progresses, you can make steps to end it even better off than you started it. And you could click the link down below for my free quiz. I'll be talking more about these concepts, a lot more about them. You're going to see me in different forums, different moods. Sometimes I'm out of court and I'm really pumped. But you'll get it all. I talk about business law matters day in, day out, because that's what I live and breathe. Be sure to subscribe me on my channel, my new YouTube channel, because there's going to be a lot more stuff. But thanks for joining, and hopefully you can share it.